Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Dot Connect Wednesdays, episode 86. This isn't just another episode. This is one where the dominoes start falling. So first up, it's over. And I'm gonna put that in quotes. It's over, folks. Ripple has officially dropped its cross appeal against the SEC. That's right. They said that's all, folks. After years of legal warfare, we're entering the final chapter, and it's not looking good for the Alphabet boys. Next, buckle up. The UAE, or United Arab Emirates, the country that houses Dubai, that everybody knows, just committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment in the United States right after meeting with President Trump. So this is not just diplomacy. This is all about positioning. What do they know that we don't? And how will this reshape the global financial chessboard? And finally, the bomb drop by the White House. Gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin. Let that sink in. The US government might be they might use the oldest form of money to buy the newest. This is monetary policy doing backflips, and we're all here for it. So let's connect the dots because once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Welcome to episode 86. Let's go. All right. So, first on the list, it's official. After more than 4 years of legal battles, public statements, appeals, cross appeals, courtroom drama, the Ripple versus S.E.C case has finally reached its end. As of March 25th, 2025, that was yesterday, Ripple's chief legal officer, or CLO, you guys may know him as Stu Alderati, he made the final announcement, and in quotations, the final crossing of the T's and dotting of I's, and what should be his last update on the S.E.C versus Ripple ever. This post on X went viral. Stu confirmed what many people in the crypto industry have been anticipating for over 4 years now. The case is finally over. It's done. So let's walk through exactly what happened, why it matters, and what the final terms are as of right now. All right. So, for those who are unfamiliar, the U.S. SEC Commission filed a lawsuit against Ripple Labs back in December of 2020. They alleged that Ripple sold XRP token as an unregistered security offering. The case became one of the most high-profile legal battles in cryptocurrency, and it was seen by many as a test of how crypto assets would be treated under U.S. securities law. Ripple was the only company who had the grit and the money to actually fight back hard enough, arguing that XRP was not a security and that the SEC was overreaching with its authority. Now, fast forward after 4 years of litigation, summary judgments, partial rulings, we finally arrived at today. So I'm going to tell you guys exactly where things stood before March 25th. So back last year, August 2024, the Southern District of New York, that's the United States District Court, they issued a judgment against Ripple ordering that the company had to pay a $125 million fine. Now, Ripple filed a cross appeal, and the SEC filed an appeal seeking stricter penalties. But in a surprise turn of events earlier this month, Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse publicly stated that the SEC was going to drop its appeal. And now we have confirmation from Stuart Alderati that not only is that 100% true, but Ripple is also voluntarily dropping its cross appeal. So, in simple terms, both sides are dropping everything and then walking away. Now, the final terms is something that I got to address and I got to let you guys know about because this is pivotal. This is important. The final outcome looks like this. The SEC is going to keep 50 million of the original $125 million fine. The remaining 75 million that Ripple had already placed in an interest-bearing escrow account, that's going to be returned back to Ripple. There was a standard injunction that the SEC won, and that basically limited Ripple's actions and ability regarding institutional XRP sales. That's going to be lifted pending a court approval. And then all of this, all of the breakdown of the final terms, it's all subject to a commission vote, final drafting, and standard court processes. But the hard work, all of the back and forth, it's all complete. Now, this case is essentially over, and Ripple comes out far stronger than it did many years ago and better than what people expected, even just a year ago. Now, the turning point that I want to highlight in all of this is Ripple was on the offensive at one point. The great thing about this is all of the surface level reporting that people have been hearing, I haven't heard anybody really cover this. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but we do what we do here at Skyton. By the SEC dropping its appeal without conditions, Ripple was then on the offensive, not the defensive. The SEC effectively conceded any effort to pursue any more aggressive penalties towards Ripple. And this allowed Ripple to be in a position where they can challenge the SEC's overreach. And this was affecting not just Ripple, but the entire crypto industry as a whole, right? And people have criticized the SEC for years, especially under Gary Gensler, because they led with enforcement instead of allowing innovation to flourish and thrive. Now, not only is Ripple walking away with $75 million returned back to them, but they also have the regulatory narrative that exists now. It's shifted. This wasn't just a knockout blow, right? This was essentially like a split decision, but Ripple turned it into a strategic win. So again, this isn't just about Ripple itself. This is all about precedent. The SEC's lawsuit was widely seen as a test case for applying whatever laws that they deemed possible for digital assets. And while the SEC did secure a little bit of a victory back in 2024, the decision to basically walk away from everything, from even its own appeal, this speaks volumes. It suggests that even the SEC knows the landscape in cryptocurrency and digital assets is shifting, and that its single-handed enforcement strategy will no longer cut it. It's over. So for the broader crypto industry, this is a big resolution, and it signals the beginning of a new era, one where companies like Ripple and other innovators have the legal clarity and confidence to move forward, innovate, continue to build, and expand without living under a cloud of uncertainty. All right. So I'm going to walk you guys through this timeline, right? And it's just to recap. So December 21st, 2020, the SEC sues Ripple Labs for quote unquote unregistered securities offering through XRP, the digital asset. All right. December 28th, 2020, Coinbase, the major cryptocurrency exchange in the United States, they delisted XRP, which was horrible. Huge slap on the wrist for Coinbase. They never really fully had my trust after that, just in the terms of the way they operated. March 22nd, 2021, Judge Netburn, she ruled that XRP has currency value and utility, unlike Bitcoin and Ethereum. Fast forward to July 13th of 2023, Ripple wins partially, right? The XRP that was sold on cryptocurrency exchanges was deemed not a security, but the institutional sales, quote unquote, violated securities law. June 12th, 2023, the unsealing of the Bill Hinman documents revealed that inside of the SEC, they were debating whether Ethereum was a security. So when you hear me always reference this, XRP is the only digital asset that has regulatory clarity. This is exactly what I'm referring to. It's still a big question mark at the SEC, even right now to this present day, for Ethereum and a bunch of other cryptocurrencies. All right, so the SEC hinted at appealing the case. Fast forward, long story short, they did appeal the case. Ripple did the same thing. They've been back and forth playing tug of war. Now, up to date, we had the $125 million fine that they were hit with back August 2024. They paid it. Now, Stu just posted, this is officially over. Ripple announced and confirmed that the SEC has dropped their appeal. Ripple themselves dropped their appeal. It's all done. That's all, folks. That's the quote at the end of Stuart Alderati's closing words on that viral tweet. So now it's official. I want to give you guys what's next for Ripple. So with legal uncertainty in the rear view, That $75 million flows right back to their accounts. Ripple's now positioned for growth, more international expansion, and a bigger ecosystem. So development is always going to be key. It's what they're typically focused on. And their partnerships with banks, financial institutions, governments, fintechs, etc., payment providers, it's all going to continue to progress without having the worry of regulatory action being hit, towards them. And they're going to continue the development of XRP, the digital asset, right? Two separate things, just to be clear for those of you who do not know. Ripple's the company, XRP is the digital asset. They're going to continue to work on real world use cases for XRP so that it can proceed with renewed momentum. So again, this wasn't just a win for Ripple. This is a big moment of clarity for the entire cryptocurrency market. It showed us that when challenged, the SEC doesn't always hold the upper hand, and it proved that crypto companies who are willing to really fight and stand their ground, especially the ones who have the capital to do so, they can come out thriving. It took millions of dollars in legal fees. It took 4 years, took a lot of time. It impacted everybody who was investing in XRP for many, many years. We were all impacted, but this shows one, that if you believe in a project, that you're going to be resilient. This was a big stance for Ripple, the company itself. And I truly believe that going forward, we're going to have way better regulation as you all are seeing it unfold right now. All right. So I wanted to cover that immediately out the gate. All right. Next, what we're going to get into is the U.A.E. commits to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion, yes, with a T, trillion-dollar investment in the U.S. after his meeting with Trump. So let's unpack one of the biggest financial announcements of 2025. This could definitely reshape the landscape of AI, digital infrastructure, and even the cryptocurrency markets. So back on March 18th, historic meeting took place, Washington, D.C., inside the Oval Office. And present, we had, of course, President Trump. We had senior members of the U.S. administration and a powerful delegation from the U.A.E. or the United Arab Emirates, including their national security advisor. I hope I don't butcher this, but Sheikh Tanoon bin Zayed Al Nahyan, right? I've been practicing that. So he's often referred to as the spy sheik. Now, due to his huge influence on global security and finance, this was very, very pivotal that he was in the building. Now, what followed this meeting is already making its waves across all spectrums, right? The U.A.E. committed to investing $1.4 trillion into the U.S. economy over the next 10 years. And no, that's not like a mispronunciation. I meant that $1.4 trillion with a T. All right. So the focus of this meeting, this wasn't just about politics. This was about partnership. This was about long-term planning and deep tech collaboration. Now, the agenda itself was centered all about accelerating American innovation, which Trump has been loud and proud about saying over and over. This has also been about global power, right, and how it's going to be defined over the next era. Now, you've got AI, you've got semiconductors, you've got clean energy, and then you've got advanced manufacturing. Now, the US is currently in a tech arms race with China. And this partnership with the UAE, this is huge. So the UAE, they're betting big on America's ability to lead, not just diplomatically, but technologically. So here's the breakdown of the 1.4 trillion. So I did a little bit of digging and I was able to kind of see how they're going to divvy up some of the funds, not to a T, but just generally. All right, so AI infrastructure. The UAE, they're going to help finance one of the most aggressive pushes into AI infrastructure in the world. Yeah, I know how we feel about infrastructure. If you're a part of Skyton Academy, we always tell you when you look at cryptocurrencies, you always look at infrastructure because that is where the biggest opportunity lies. This is where the builders and anything that's emerging, this is where they're going first, right? It's infrastructure. So major example, MGX. This is a new AI company that was formed through, it was a partnership with BlackRock, Microsoft, and global infrastructure partners and NVIDIA. And they're going to mobilize $100 billion of that investment into US-based AI systems, compute, and cloud services. Then you've got your semiconductors. That's your U.A.E. That's sovereign wealth funds that's invested in chip manufacturing, R&D, or research and development, and they're going to help the U.S. become less dependent on foreign nations for semiconductors. This is the silicon lifeblood of all digital systems. So this is huge. All right. Next, we've got the energy infrastructure. So U.A.E.'s ADQ, together with Energy Capital Partners, they're investing 25 billion into renewable energy and data center development. So this is like core infrastructure to support this big push on energy hungry technologies, AI, blockchain, etc. All right. So again, pay attention to the details. That's where your opportunity lies. They're building core infrastructure to support big energy in AI and blockchain, right? Crypto. That should let you know something. So I hope you guys got your pen and pads ready, or you just focused and you locked in. All right. And then last but not least, we've got aluminum and manufacturing. So the U.A.E. is also financing America's first new aluminum smelter in 35 years, right? And they're doing this via Emirates Global Aluminum. So they're going to nearly double the U.S. capacity in a material essential for vehicles, aerospace, and construction. All right. So as I was looking through all of this, this made me ask one question. Why? And I mean absolutely why is the U.A.E. investing this much money? This is $1.4 trillion. This isn't just, let me write a quick check real quick and send it, or send a wire over. This is different, right? Their motives in the U.A.E. are 100% clear, strategic, and it's going to be mutually beneficial. So, three reasons I was able to identify. This is going to be diversification, access to innovation, and strategic positioning. All right, so let's tap in on diversification. So the U.A.E. has been long dependent on its oil, right? Now it's rapidly pivoting to tech, finance, clean energy. This investment is going to help them basically reposition as a digital superpower. The next, you've got access to innovation. By embedding themselves in a US innovation ecosystem, they gain access to all the cutting edge breakthroughs that's going to happen in semiconductors, AI, and next gen infrastructure. So, anybody who's ever been to the UAE or Dubai, things like that, you know that they're really, really big on um, their buildings. They always want the latest, the greatest. They want innovative style buildings. They want things that are kind of like first of its kind, right? Groundbreaking things. This is huge in quote unquote the Middle East. And the UAE, they're doing this on purpose. So as they're investing into this, basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to share power with big nations, and they're going to keep on building. They already know that we're in a big war with China, right? But instead of them putting their money with China, they came straight to the US. And I think that was an awesome decision. All right. Last but not least, strategic positioning. So they know that the entire world right now is moving towards digital sovereignty and multipolar influence. The UAE, they're basically aligning with us here in the US to remain at the center of the tech economy. So here's one thing I want to clear up, right? Just so there's no gray area, right? There is not going to be a $1.4 trillion investment per year. This is a 10-year framework that they put together. And basically, they're going to spread out over the next 10 years, averaging, it's going to be about 140 billion, would it be, every single year. So basically, what does this mean for crypto and AI? Let's start with AI. So this investment is going to be a turbocharger. This is going to bring enormous amounts of capital into compute capacity, chip manufacturing, hello, and real-time infrastructure. So all of this is all needed to fuel like AI models, the different applications, all the services that's going to exist. So think basically faster AI training, wider deployment, and smarter algorithms, right? So everybody was so caught up on Chat GPT and DeepSeek and these things that were coming out. Imagine what more capital, right? More great minds, more brilliant minds internationally coming together for this one cause. Tech is about to get crazy, right? Now, what about crypto? You might be wondering, like, how does this connect? The link is clear as day. Look at it like this. You've got decentralization, you've got energy, infrastructure, and compute. All of these are foundational to blockchain and Web3. So what I did was I started looking at this and I'm like, all right, how can I break this down so people can really understand and actually connect these dots, right? I'm gonna give you 5 reasons. So you got explosion in AI and crypto convergence. So you got projects like Fetch AI, Singularity Net, Ocean Protocol. They're all building decentralized AI marketplaces and different models. So with this investment that's going to fuel the AI sector, you should automatically expect rising demand for blockchain-based AI data access, governance, and payment systems. Follow the money. That's the one nugget I can always tell you guys is always follow the money. That's why I went deep and I tried to figure out where is this money going to be divvied up, because this is going to tell you where the opportunities lies. Second, you've got infrastructure and Web3 scaling. So 25 billion of that 1.4 trillion is going into US data centers, and green energy lays the groundwork for that, right? So it's going to allow blockchains to be scalable, right? Especially the ones that are big, energy intensive. So this could benefit eco-friendly chains like you've got HBAR, you've got Chia, right? And there's a couple others, but that's going to be huge. 25 billion coming in. Look for the next internet to be scaled, right? The friction to be removed. We're going to be able to tip content creators using tech, right? Using AI and using these blockchains that are all going to be interconnected and interoperable. Then you've got institutional validation of emerging tech. You guys are seeing this across the board, right? When the U.A.E commits to this type of scale and putting capital into tech, this is going to entirely legitimize anything that's emerging in the tech sector. So you're going to have retail investors that's likely to see big flows, inflows in AI tokens, compute tokens, and blockchain infrastructure. Then you've got decentralized compute. Demand is going to rise. I'm talking about huge, because AI's hunger for compute is going to drive more attention to decentralized compute marketplaces. We're talking Ash Cash Network, Render, Filecoin. These allow anybody to rent out GPUs, CPUs, or storage power, and they all run on crypto. Hello. Hope you guys are paying attention. Last but not least, you've got financial innovation, and then you've got regulatory clarity that we need. But this is not going to be just for the U.S. This is for the entire world. I've been telling you guys, me and Steve, we both been telling y'all that it's a lot that's about to happen when it comes to the lay of the land. The only thing that people have been really waiting for, when I say people, I mean governments, because governments are big businesses. I'm talking about financial institutions, fintechs. I'm talking about payment processors. Everybody has simply been banks, right? Everybody has simply been waiting on regulations, the rules. Once we have clear rules, that means it's going to literally lay out guidelines for everybody to follow. That is the one thing that we are currently waiting on. All of these projects that have real world utility, that solve real world problems, that are poised to gain a lot of this capital that's coming in. And this is just one example. This is one nation that's about to invest 1.4 trillion. Imagine what these other countries are going to do when it comes time to scale and grow. And we have full Rules. Little nugget. Brad Garlinghouse was sitting in an interview. He said 88% of his customers were from outside of the United States. So imagine what that means when we finally get the rules. That means the gates open. The floodgates of capital are going to be wide open. Money is going to flow because they actually solve a problem. And I'm not just focusing on just XRP. I've given you guys in just the last 3-4 minutes. I've given you guys powerhouse projects that's in cryptocurrency, that's in artificial intelligence, that's in Web3, right? This is the power of it. One, the power of information, because some people didn't even know this. Some people just haven't even dialed in to know what some of these projects do. Now you have homework and you can use, because there's a lot of members that's on this call. Now you guys can use the tools that we gave you in how to research projects to actually analyze these projects, look at the competitors, see what they do, what use cases exist, what problem does it solve globally, not just here in the United States. And then you can start dot connecting. All right. So, all in all, this is huge, right? The U.A.E is already home to forward-thinking digital asset regulations. So their integration with the U.S. investment is going to definitely encourage faster, smarter regulation stateside, right? And it's going to give crypto projects and the developers more clarity and more room to expand and grow. And that's all we need, right? So my final thoughts, the U.A.E.'s 1.4 trillion investment is more than just a financial headline. It's a signal that nations are betting on AI, infrastructure, cryptocurrency, and digital energy as the future of global power. And crypto and AI developers, this is just the beginning of a new era, right? The walls between AI, crypto, and energy are all crumbling down, right? So now we're getting this incredible synergy. So if you're building in or investing in tokenized AI platforms, green mining, or Web3 infrastructure, this is the moment that you guys have been waiting for, right? And I know I have for many years, but everything that we said for many years is all now starting to materialize. So my nugget to you all is make sure that you guys follow the capital, right? Follow the energy and watch how this one announcement is gonna reshape the digital future. All right. Now, this is a big one, right? This is massive right here. Pause. The White House says gold reserves may be used to purchase Bitcoin. Let's break this down. What exactly does this mean? And why you, every single one of you out there, needs to be paying close attention to this. The White House made that statement, and this could really change the future of money as we know it. This is wild, right? So, first, let's be clear. This is not a rumor by any means. So there was reports that were circulating this entire week. The senior White House economic officials confirmed that the United States Treasury is open to using a portion of the country's gold reserves to buy Bitcoin. It's wild. That's wild, right? That doesn't mean that the U.S. is going to dump all of its gold tomorrow, right? You see where we at in a state of affairs economically and financially, right? But this does mean that they're exploring even the idea of diversifying the reserves by adding Bitcoin alongside gold. So if that sounds familiar, it's because it mirrors what countries like El Salvador, Russia, they've already been doing this, right? But here in the United States, we wasn't doing this, right? So these other countries, El Salvador and Russia, they were building their own stockpiles, right? They were slowly moving away from the US dollar system and they're exploring digital assets. Bitcoin, they were already working with XRP and other cryptocurrencies, right? And they were using this basically as a hedge against inflation, economic instability, and centralized manipulation. Everybody knows that the dollar has been weaponized for many years. This is why BRICS and BRICS Plus nations were all created and they all came to form a synergy because they were tired of being subjected to tariffs, just the way the dollar had to be utilized in certain trade. Now they understand that even though the dollar is still number one position, countries like Russia, they've got influence over the BRICS plus nations, and they've already started using and creating new payment systems that run on cryptocurrency blockchain. So this is not foreign, right? This is not a rumor mill. This is real. So I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your minds. Now, a question that might kind of come to you guys is, why would the US do this? Why would the US get rid of God's money for Bitcoin, right? Gold is heavy, Bitcoin is portable. Gold is valuable, but it's clunky. So storing it, transporting it, securing it, it's all expensive, right? Crypto, on the other hand, you can move it globally in a matter of seconds, right? Some faster than others, especially when it comes to Bitcoin. Um, you know what I mean? But we'll talk about that on another day. So you got global de-dollarization. Again, you got all of BRICS and BRICS Plus, a bunch of those nations across the world. They're shifting away from the US dollar dependency. They don't want nothing to do with it, right? So if the US wants to stay relevant in this changing financial landscape, they have to, and I mean have to, they have to get a stake in the new reserve assets. And that's cryptocurrency, and that's Bitcoin. That's at the top of their list currently. So another reason is you hear this quote, right? And I always put this in air quotes. Is going to be Bitcoin is digital gold. So Bitcoin has already earned its nickname as digital gold, and it's decentralized, deflationary, it's scarce, right? So that's what gives it a lot of value, right? There's been a huge marketing scheme behind it. So everybody was pumping and pushing Bitcoin, right? I'm going to remove my personal thoughts at this moment, right? But understand that governments, institutions, they're all beginning to accept that it's not going away right now. It's still evolving, it's still emerging, it's being adopted. People are utilizing it as a hedge, right? As a stockpile. And now it's not just nations, it's actually companies, Fortune 500 companies that are actually doing this, right? And they're having meetings with all the C suite personnel like, hey, this is a scarce, quote unquote, asset, if you will. And we need some of this, right? Because historically it's been performing well and the price goes up. So this is why a lot of people are willing to put their capital, whether it's personal or it's from, their businesses, they're able to put this money behind Bitcoin because they just feel like, hey, it's been labeled as digital gold and this is where we want to go, right? And then at the end of the day, this is strategic hedging. So this move isn't just about tech, right? It's not just about technology. It's about geopolitical leverage. So by basically adding crypto to its reserves or Bitcoin as of right now, the US is signaling to everybody around the world that it's ready for the post-dollar multi-asset world. So what does this mean for everybody, all of us, all retail investors? Now, here's where this gets interesting. If the US government is even considering swapping gold for Bitcoin, that tells us one thing loud and clear. Bitcoin is becoming a strategic national asset. This changes everything for crypto investors. You've got 4 points I'm going to hit on: legitimacy, scarcity, price impact, and first mover advantage. All right, so let's run them down. Bitcoin is no longer just a speculative asset. It's now being viewed as a strategic hedge, basically, by the most powerful governments and countries in the world, i.e., the US. Scarcity pressure. If the governments all start buying Bitcoin, it's already got a limited supply. So it's going to get even more limited, even more tighter. Remember, there's only 21 million Bitcoin right now, and over 19 million are already in circulation. All right. So price impact. The moment this becomes actual policy, right, or even a formal proposal, right, as I went over, the SEC just introduced an XRP proposal. The markets are all going to start reacting aggressively. There's going to be a supply squeeze unmatched, right? And this can push cryptocurrencies as a whole, not just Bitcoin, not XRP. I'm not leaning on any one particular asset right now, but I want to cover this correctly so you really get the gist of this. If there's a supply squeeze on cryptocurrencies, that means more adoption. More adoption means more people coming into this space like never before. That means the cryptocurrency that is on public exchanges right now that everybody has access to is going to go bye-bye. Understand that. Now, to put this in perspective, 21 million Bitcoin, 19 million already in circulation. If we get a supply squeeze just on Bitcoin, this can easily push us right back up into the six-figure territory super fast, right? And then this is my favorite, the early mover advantage. I call it first mover advantage. If everybody here that's in the chat, right? I want you guys to put a one if you're already invested in cryptocurrency. If you got any crypto, just drop a one in the chat for me. That's what I like to hear. All right. And all of you out there that's not here live with us, I want you guys in the comments on YouTube as you guys watch this replay. Let me know if you have crypto. You don't have to tell me your bag, what you're holding. Just drop it in there. I'm curious, right? Because there's a reason that you're here. And if you're not invested, it's perfectly fine. You're not being singled out. I got something for you. All right. Understand that if you're in now, you're ahead of what could be one of the biggest financial shifts of the 21st century. We've already seen institutional adoption back in 2021, right? So imagine what this means if the Federal Reserve or the US Treasury starts actually stacking Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Let me leave you with this. This is deeper than just covering news, right? A headline. This is a signal. This should let you all know that the world is changing right in front of you, right? The world is changing and fast, rapidly. While most people are still asleep behind the wheel, every one of you guys, you're all paying attention. And you have the biggest opportunity to build wealth during this transition. If the White House, if these governments are all waking up to crypto as a whole, so should you. So my next question to you all is, are you ready? Are you? It's not rhetorical. I'm asking, are you ready? Petty Lou, you ready? Ash, you ready? Wayne, you ready? Zoe, give me a thumbs up. You ready or not? Sherry, I know you ready. If you ready, like that chat up. I know everybody here on this call is ready. And there's some people that's been here for many years. So imagine this feeling, this sentiment, right? It's hard for me to contain it sometimes. And I'm going to stop trying to contain it. I'm going to be even more expressive when I let you guys know this. My job is to inform, is to educate, right? This is what Steve's job is. It's for us to lead, it's for us to impact, right? It's for us to give you guys nuggets and gems and help connect what's actually happening in the world right in front of you. Because life's. Life is definitely lifing. And I know it's people working multiple jobs, it's people struggling to be able to get through information, right? To navigate all of the distractions that exist on top of just the normal stuff, being tired, right? Being overexerted, being overstimulated. This is huge. But who cares? I do. Steve does. We truly care if you're ready. Do you know what coins you're supposed to be looking into? Do you understand how you guys are supposed to move safely in this space? Are you properly positioned to benefit from the greatest wealth transfer that we're ever going to experience in the world? It's never happened, period. Are you ready? If the answer is not yet, it's time to level up. I'm not talking to everybody who put that they was ready, they gave me thumbs up, they turned the chat up. Not talking to y'all. You guys are exactly where you're supposed to be. You right here live, .Connect 86, as we put this together. Anybody outside, family members, friends, associates, anybody in your community who's not tapped in, who's not dialed in, understand, if you are not yet ready, it's go time. It's time to level up. This is exactly why we built Skyton Academy. For those of you who do not know, educational community that helps you guys stay ahead of the curve in AI, crypto, finance, personal, professional development, holistic wellness as a whole. I call us the Netflix of learning in life. $50 a month membership. That breaks down to $1.66. Let's round it up. $1.67 per day for a month. I'm curious. For all the members that's in the building, is this information not changing your life? Is this not helping to change the way you think? Is this not pushing you to newer heights? Preparing you for the future of finance? The greatest opportunities that ever existed, especially in our generation? I could be wrong. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm overthinking. You know what I mean? Maybe Skyton Academy isn't what we really think we are. Nah. I would be tripping if I ever agreed with that. We really do this on this side. We really care. We really invite you all with open arms, right? We've helped thousands of people go from confused to confident, understanding how to research, invest, protect your assets in this digital age. So if you guys are tired of sitting on the sidelines, if you're serious about your financial future, this is an invitation from us to you. Go to skytonacademy.com. Join us today. It's $50 a month. It's cheaper than a steak dinner. Here's what I want to leave you guys with. If the government is stacking crypto behind the scenes, and they've been doing this for years, if you got the United States Treasury now open to using God's money to get to this digital money and build a strategic reserve, a stockpile, and the focus is going to be on US-based companies. Hello, hello, giving you guys nugget after nugget after nugget. All you got to do is pay attention and listen. Those who have eyes shall see. Those who have ears shall hear. The opportunities are right in your face. And at Skyton Academy, what we're doing is we're building the new 1% in plain sight. This wraps up .Connect Wednesdays, episode 86, where we covered Ripple drops the case against the S.E.C. They dropped their cross appeal. It's formally over. The U.A.E. committed to a 10-year, $1.4 trillion investment into the U.S., and the White House saying that gold reserves may be used to purchase crypto. Hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be right here for .Connect episode 87 next Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Make sure you guys show up on time. Bring a friend and tell a friend to tell a friend. Skyton is always at it. We welcome you guys with open arms. Hope you guys enjoyed this. See you guys on the next one. Peace.